It's not just in my body, it's the mornings, my decisions, my relationships, my plans, my self-worth. Chronic illness isn't something I deal with, it's something I live with. There's a specific kind of heaviness that comes with waking up and knowing you're already behind, you're already exhausted, and no matter how much you want to do today to be different, your body most likely has other plans. And that's the weight of chronic illness. It's more than pain, more than symptoms. It's a daily drag of unpredictability, and not in the good way, believe me. The grief of not knowing what version of yourself you'll get each morning. So describing a normal morning for me would be something like, well, I open my eyes and I don't move. Let's do a body scan. Is there pain in my joints? Is it my back? How's my stomach feeling? Am I dizzy? Does this part of my body ache? Does that part of my body ache? Once again, a body scan. Because I gotta see where I'm at to meet myself where I am in that particular moment. And then some days I could wake up and do a million gajillion things and 2 hours later be completely exhausted. Some days I lie still, meditating for 45 minutes, preparing to move. There's so many different variations of this on a daily basis. And not only is it a morning thing, it's throughout the day as well. There's so many times that I have to move, shift plans simply because my body just can't move at that rhythm of the things I want to be able to do. And you know what? That's what people don't see. I understand maybe it's a little bit paradox, the fact that you're watching videos of my week and you see that I do a million things. Do you really want to see the pain behind it? Do you really want to see me sitting in bed? Do you really want to see the tears? Do you really want to see that stuff visually on screen? It happens. And if you don't know it happens, you're finding out right now that it happens. So meanwhile, this is my week. And weekly views and going into work and shooting and all the other things that I do. Obviously, not everything that you see is everything that I do. But for the most part, you do not see, the dark side. You don't see the negotiations that happen before my feet even hit the floor, or before I say yes to plans, or I'm running errands and all of a sudden you have to take a pause, making everything else a little bit longer, or all the times that I vent and feel guilty for feeling this way. And no, it's not me being lazy. I'm calculating energy and damage and risk, and that's what it is. It's there. It doesn't clock out at 5 p.m. It doesn't take weekends off. It doesn't say, hey, I'll give you a break for your birthday, or that job interview, or that vacation you planned months ago, or when you're on stage singing and dancing. It lingers. Even on good days, I carry the weight of fear of the next flare-up, of guilt for canceling again, of grief for who I used to be or wanted to be or still want to be, and anger at myself and silence from others and shame because the world doesn't believe me unless they can see it. It's an illness that's with me always. Not only when it hurts, not just when it hurts, but when I'm choosing clothes that don't irritate my skin, where I'm in the bathroom for the third time that hour, or where I'm smiling in a Zoom call, but quietly dissociating because fatigue is swallowing me alive. I've learned how to pass on the outside while crumbling on the inside. And we understand that's the real killer, the invisibility. Because it's but you don't look sick. There's something infuriating about being told you look too well to be unwell. What they mean is you're too pretty to be sick. You have makeup on, you smiled once, you post a happy picture every day. You're constantly doing things like you don't look sick. And in a city where we have so many tourists, which it's a whole different conversation to be had, I love the fact that I get to see Sagrada Familia in Casaballo on a weekly basis, basically, because that's what happens with Barcelona. It's a city that's technically so small that even if you do your errands, you go to work, you go to see friends, it doesn't matter what, you're bound to see something blah, 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 blah. You're bound to see something iconic about it. You're bound to pass a quote-unquote touristic spot no matter what. And the thing I do say with that, like, I love seeing people walk by and taking those pictures and just being in the moment. But also it comes to show that, like, how many of these people right in front of me are in chronic pain? How many are doing the very best they can to look happy in those pictures, because you want to look happy in those pictures because you are enjoying yourself even if you're in pain? I do the same with content creation in general. Once again, do you really want to see my tears and my pain every single time? No. But guess what? I'm happy telling you. Anytime you get a little piece of me, you get a little bit more information, or just a little bit more venting and a little bit more realism. Like after this event, literally the one that I'm jumping up and down and dancing, the very night and the next day I couldn't move from my bed. I couldn't even go to work. And I spent the following 3 days in bed. But do you see that part right now? No. But that's okay. Maybe we need more visibility. I don't know. But I'm here telling you anyway, because once again, it's the whole thing of like, but you don't look sick. And well, this is me speaking out about it. Because just because I look fine doesn't mean I'm not carrying a mountain inside of me. You know, like, we need to make room for joy and good hair days and laughter. You know, also, like, people expect suffering to look like a movie scene, like sweating and groaning and dramatic, and believe me, sometimes it is. But the truth, suffering also looks like this: showing up when you shouldn't have to, making jokes to, you know, make others comfortable, feeling guilty for not smiling, pretending to follow a conversation through a brain through a brain fog, and faking quote-unquote normal. The loop of guilt and grief. Because let's talk about the cycle. You cancel plans, you feel guilty. You push through, feel worse, and then crash for 3 days. I just had that happen to me. Like, oh my God. You take time off. What is time off? You feel lazy. You try to rest. You feel unproductive. And repeat. We've internalized this loop. We start believing that our illness is a personal failure. I have grieved my old self more times than I can count. The me who could work a full shift and still go out. The me who didn't have to plan lives around bathrooms, triggers, medications, or pain scale numbers. The me who had the ambition without body-based limits. Because once again, chronic illness isn't just physical. It's a spiritual mourning again and again. And the hardest part is its grief with no endpoint, because the loss happens in slow motion and sometimes without warning. Now, for the toxic positivity and the pressure to be inspirational, you know what? Like, yeah, so people love a good chronic illness story as long as it's inspiring. And granted, a lot of my content is that with my guests and with people overcoming, because we do want to see light on the other side, and we have found light on the other side. You know, they want the warrior, the survival, the miracle comeback, especially in like big screens, especially when big ticket items. They definitely don't want the crying on the bathroom floor version, the rage, and the unfiltered truth. Because yes, you can be the miracle comeback or the survivor or the warrior, but you're gonna go back to cry on the bathroom floor. Like, that's gonna happen. The range is still there. The range and the rage is still there. So yeah, stay strong, they say. Everything happens for a reason. You're so brave. I truly believe everything still happens for a reason, but the loophole that it pulls on me when I'm in those moments of pain, or when something you're like, seriously, I had these really cool plans, seriously, but now I can't go. I have to cancel because of this. And also that you're so brave. Oh my God. Or like when they tell me like you're so resistant and resilient. Oh my God. No. Sometimes I'm just barely functioning, but like the quote unquote the bravest thing I can do is admit that I'm not brave at all today, and I shouldn't have to be, because survival is not always triumphant. It's messy and quiet and monotonous and deeply unfair. So believe me, I'm not your inspirational poster child. I'm a real person living a real life in a real body. That is getting better in time, but you know, it needs its time, and that's okay. And another thing, to keep this in mind as well, relationships change, because illness rearranges everything. Friendship, romance, family roles. Suddenly, you're the flaky one, the sensitive one, the one who can't commit. Some people drift away because you cancel too often, and you know what? That's okay. That's okay. That's a grief that needed to happen, and a grief that if you're going through it, a friendship grief, so much hugs to you, because I've been through it. And especially being an adult, being a full-grown adult to make friends is insane. But once again, I feel like it's a conversation for another day. Others don't know how to hold space for a version of you that doesn't recover or isn't able to recover fast enough for them. So we have to give it grace as well for them, but also for yourself, because it has to be fair to you too, And of course, intimacy, that changes too. Try to feel sexy with swollen joints, medical devices, or rashes or fatigue so strong it makes touching unbearable. Once again, chronic illnesses redefines closeness. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so worked up. Not only physically, but emotionally. It takes a rare, radical love to stay present through all of that. And you learn who's real, who listens, who believes in you without evidence. And you learn to be alone a lot. Another thing, because we keep on piling it up in this episode, let's not sugarcoat this. Some of the worst pain I've been through and I've ever felt wasn't necessarily from the illness, but it's rather than not being believed about my illness. Your labs are fine. Maybe it's anxiety. Lose a little weight. Try yogas. I've had doctors talk over me, laugh at me, minimize me, misdiagnose me, and dismiss me, especially as a woman of color, especially as a person who doesn't fit the mold of quote-unquote sick enough. I've left appointment in tears, and not from pain, but from shame, and the shame that says, holy moly, it stays. Because chronic illness is hard. Chronic illness with medical trauma is hell. We're not just managing symptoms, we're also navigating a system that demands proof before it gives care. And every day is a risk. Because, for example, everything has a cost. So, for example, I know I just said that, but keep rolling with me. If I shower, will I have enough energy to cook? If I go out, will I crash tomorrow? If I say yes, what am I saying no to? Chronic illnesses forces you to calculate every single move. It's like living with an emotional abacus in your head. Is it worth the crash? Is it worth the guilt? Is it worth the pain? And every joy kind of becomes complicated. Sometimes I dance, sometimes I cry while dancing, because I know I'll pay for it later. But I still dance. And I still carry it. Because with all that being said, the fear, the grief, the isolation, the uncertainty, I'm still here. I'm still showing up for myself. I'm still putting weekly videos. I'm still expressing myself, mistakes and all, because I'm a human. Because I'm still breathing, still hoping, still creating new rules for this body, for this life. I've had to learn how to love a body that doesn't love me back in the ways that I want. And some days that love looks like defiance, but other days it looks like surrender. However, every day it looks like living, even if it's not loud or perfect or pain-free. Chronic illness doesn't make me weak. It makes me aware of every breath, of every step, of every ounce of energy, aware of the fragility and the force of being alive. Now, if you're out there living with invisible pain, let this be your reminder. You're not making it up. You're not alone. You're not broken. And you don't have to be better to be worthy. You're just allowed to be in the body that you have, at the pace that you need. Thank you so much for listening through this journey of mine and my feelings and my thoughts as I share my weekly videos, as always, with you. Leave your questions down below whatever you have, or your comments. Share your stories. Community is key. Let's speak up about it. And as always, hug tight, I love stronger, always believe. Till next time, babes.